fellow Nollywood lovers, casual fans, newbies, and just walkabout people. I'm trying to be funny this episode. It's your host, Mimi, and this person that's laughing insultingly is...
It's Toni.
I'm funny. Anyway, guys.
Sorry, just dying in the background.
Welcome to this episode where we'll be discussing comedy. None of us know that much about comedy.
And I avoid it, to be honest. I'm not really like a comedy person.
Yeah, we're going to address that. So we're not really big fans of comedy. So this is going to be a short episode. But let's just get into it. And let's just get into it. Let's dive inside this comedy wheel. Nigerians are funny people.
I think, do you know what? I was thinking about it today and I'm like, I don't like comedy films, but I like to laugh.
Yeah.
So like, if something is like, oh, this is a comedy, I will usually stay away from it. Because I think a lot of people's definition of comedy is physical comedy, which I cannot.
We'll address that too. We have lots to address apparently. Well, as I was saying, Nigerians are funny people. We have to be. We have to be, because the situation in the country is mad. And everything that happens in that country is mad. I'm sorry. Did you guys not hear that a snake stole money? Or was it a monkey? Oh,
I think a monkey stole money and the snake swallowed it. Whether it was the same money, I can't confirm nor deny.
Yeah, our politicians be playing us like football, up and down, telling us lies upon lies. I mean, lie Mohammed. Not to bring politics into this. But
No, okay. How do you go into comedy, into politics?
Satire.
Lie, as it's your name. At least change it. Put like a hyphen or something. So it's not, lie. That's what people call him.
Anyway, so Nigerians are funny people because we have to be, and not only are we funny people, but we will make fun of people.
Oh yeah.
God, I'm so sorry, Ghana. You don't deserve what we do to you. You
don't do nothing to get. Don't say we. Who's the we?
Nigerians.
Oh, I don't.
Like the streets of Twitter are mad. Nigerians on Twitter are ready to blast anybody.
Yeah, no, Nigerian Twitter is not to be messed with.
Nah, man, you need to go in there with a hazmat suit, and even that will not save you. Anyway, what is comedy? What is comedy? Comedy is especially, it's just something that makes you laugh. I'm not going to go, oh, the Oxford definition of comedy is...
Well, actually, since you mentioned Latin, the word comedy has been derived from the French word comedy, which is taken from Greco-Latin commedia, which is made up of two words, komos, meaning revel, and aidin, meaning to sing. You're welcome.
So let's move on for that extremely boring introduction and talk about what comedy actually is. Making people laugh, or generally amusing people. But as we said, we're not a huge fan of comedy, and we're not a huge fan of Nigerian comedy. What is Nigerian? Well, and this is where I get professorial. Nigerian comedy has had a long storied past. As I said, Nigerians are funny. There's always that one person that's always cracking jokes. It's just natural for someone to be cracking jokes.
What portion of Nollywood is comedy?
I'm going to say...
It's funny because we ask this every time and it's always like 90-something%.
What portion of Well, now we're going to do new Nollywood or old Nollywood. And are we going to talk about intentional or unintentional comedy? Because intentional? She did say she was going to be funny this episode.
But how much of Nollywood is intentional or non-intentional comedy? Because there's a difference.
There are some things that you watch and you'll be like, they didn't mean this to be funny, but it is hilarious. I'm going to post on Instagram and Facebook page, I'm going to post this absolutely hilarious clip about the woman that just throws herself onto the car and does like a somersault. It's ridiculous. Anyway, how much? Let's go back to your question. How much of Nollywood is comedy? Genuine comedy? I would say depends on the era as well.
That's true.
Because as we all know, Nollywood goes through trends, and there was a trend where comedy ruled, and it was all just comedy, Aki and Popo, blah blah blah. We're going to talk about Aki and Popo in a minute, but I would say about 25%
that are actually marketed as comedic films,
yes,
or that are funny.
Comedic film, but pure comedy.
Okay.
Most of the comedy, in inverted commas, because sometimes it's not funny, most of the comedy films are usually mixed with something else. Romance, as usual.
Rom-coms are a thing.
Rom-coms, or we talked about jazz, but we decided that there's no comedy jazz film.
I'm sure there's funny jazz films.
Name one.
I can't remember the film, but there's scenes in that one film, and it's hilarious.
I would
the bit where they're both fighting each other with their different jazz.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the last episode as well.
So funny.
But let's talk about the history of comedy in Nigeria. And we cannot talk about comedy in Nollywood without talking about stand-up comedy. Most of the people that did stand-up comedy, that was sort of a precursor to Nollywood comedy.
I think that's I think yes, but I feel like that's a different sort of that's a different genre, because it's less comedy actors, more comics in film. No,
I mean, because of the prevalence of comedy, and Nigerians love to laugh. I mean, we are the happiest nation in Africa.
There's 9 of 1,000 laughs. It's like there's like volume.
I'm gonna
70.
address 9 of 1,000 laughs, because 9 of 1,000 laughs is actually a precursor and was one of the biggest things that enhanced stand-up in Nollywood. So we have this guy, Opa Williams, who made movies like Deadly Affairs or Tears for Love, from 1998 to 1995, and he used to make movies, and then he thought Nollywood is going wayward, so he went into comedy, and he's the one that produced 9 of 1,000 Laughs in 1995.
Wow.
However, they were failures. Artistically, they were good. Like they found this genre and started stand-up comedy in Nigeria. But the first couple of years were a failure. But the guy kept going on. Like, props to that guy, man. He's why he's making us laugh. So he created 9 of 1,000 Laughs, and then
If you don't get that, then I think you're too young for this podcast. You won't get a lot of the things that we talk about here.
Well, and then you have Alibaba. And, all this contributed to the rise. Like, more people were, laughing. And then comedy started to become a viable career for a lot of people. Like, people were actually like, okay, I want to be a comedian. And in Nigeria, it was possible all of a sudden. And I think that influenced Nollywood. And we started seeing some notable comedy films.
I both agree and disagree.
Okay.
Because I think, yes, you find the notable quote-unquote comedy films more recently, or recently in Nollywood, I guess. But think people that are veterans, like someone like Sam Lokoefe, God rest his soul, he's been doing comedy for as long as he's been acting.
Well, yeah, but he was just a naturally funny guy.
No, like his films are comedic films.
Yes.
So think of I think it's called, is it Mr. Policeman and Police Affairs or something like that? Yeah, but that's a comedy. That's a comedy film.
But this is you've forgotten that 9 of 1,000 Laughs started in 1995. So maybe my theory is correct. No, let's talk about the different genres of comedy and comedy in Nollywood.
So I've looked into it. So different subgenres of comedy. So you can get slapstick comedy, so that's physical comedy, which I think a lot of comedy relies on slapstick and physical comedy
in Nollywood.
Yeah,
I would argue against that.
Well, no, because I think a lot of the physical comedy is, let's take Aki and Popo, for instance.
For those that don't know of Aki and Popo,
you are too young for this podcast.
You know, they did they've
like
done
a reboot. Yeah,
I would really want to see that, but you know, we're in the UK and it's in Nigeria and it's all over cinemas and piracy and blah blah blah.
Okay. That took a turn.
But I'm upset.
But I think one of the
I'm still upset.
Let it go.
I think you guys need to start showing stuff in the UK.
If they start showing stuff in the UK, what about America? That's bigger than you by how many?
That's their own business.
Wow, okay.
That's their own business. Toni Abrahams just screened The Ghost and the Tout 2, and it was booked. That audience cinema was packed. So, guys.
Now, I'm not saying that people won't attend. I'm just saying that why should they care about the UK when America is there and they can make so much more money? And
shut up!
Shut
up! And say what you're saying.
Some people are more relevant than others, but it's okay.
I'm relevant.
Marianne is just vexed for no reason.
I'm pressed. Anyway.
Now, I was saying about like Aki and Popo, for instance. One of the funniest things about Aki and Popo, with the least offense meant possible.
Ooh, you're about to get cancelled.
Is that these looked like children, and we thought they were children, and there's these children that are acting, and I'm like, oh my god, so funny, they're children, and then you find out that they are not children.
You know what? You know how those you know how there are those memes of Aki and Popo floating around. And
the last one. That's my favorite one.
You know, and Twitter have started using it, and like people that are non-Nigerians are always shocked with like, wait, that's not a child.
Not children.
No.
I think both of them are in their 40s now. So obviously when we were younger, they would have been in their like 20s or late 20s, early 20s, whatever. So that is the shock of that.
Yeah,
being not children. I think that was quite funny.
And then there was the whole naughty children.
Yes,
the whole naughty.
They're naughty children, but they're not children. Hilarious. So I feel like that in itself forms a basis of a lot of our comedy.
Okay, fair dues. I will accept that.
Yeah, there were points where comedy. So a lot of the like, again, thin line. A lot of the like cross-dressing ones.
Yeah, that
are meant to be. I think that is more sort of the newer side of Nigerian comedy now. Is all the cross-dressers, and it's like, oh, that's clearly a man, but they're wearing a wig. Synthetic, cheap wig.
Nah, man, you see
like,
some... You see some of the Instagram comedians, and they're rocking, like, Peruvian weave. I'm like, okay.
I ain't never seen none of those.
Anyway, you were saying?
So, yeah, so slapstick comedy, I think a lot of our comedy relied on physical comedy. You've got something called farce, which is pretending to be something that it's not. So they're not.
I think you would find that. Well, no, keep going. Because we now have to sort, you know, those iconic comedy performers and iconic comedy movies into different genres. That's
sort of what I'm trying to do in my head.
Yeah, but
I think that one specifically, you wouldn't find a film that's all about that. So I think that's where it comes with where you fall into like tropes and things that you see.
Right.
I think a lot of these comedy genres fall into tropes.
Okay.
So in a film, which is not a comedic film, you might get someone that's pretending to be something that they're not, and they will fall into all of the hilarity. So like a village girl that is pretending to be a city babe. Like remember Jennifer. That one, like Jennifer, the one now,
Angelina.
Not Angelina. The one that's like, she'll speak Igbo. She's like, oh no, oops.
Yeah, Uche Elendu.
That one.
Yeah.
Most
Well, that's farcical.
That's farcical. Yeah,
but so then I think you will find, for example, as I just said, Jennifer, which is a story about a girl that comes from a village, and
I don't find it funny.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, I get why it should be. I'm
hoping that on your list you have language, because we use language. We use language for comedy so much. We use accents. We use, misrepresentation
that
of
falls
words.
under slapstick, though.
How can accent and language be slapstick?
I think it falls under, because I don't define physical comedy as actual physical comedy. I've defined physical comedy as they are trying to make you laugh without trying to make you laugh.
That's not physical comedy. Physical comedy is using your body and using weight, is using your body to make maybe falling over or different reactions or facial expressions,
or accents.
Not accents.
I believe accents form part of physical chemistry.
Oh my
physical chemistry.
I thought you researched this.
I thought we weren't meant to research, Marianne.
Anyway, I'm just saying that we play a lot with accents, with languages, with doing a funny voice. But we also, I'm gonna let you finish, but there's also so many genres of comedy that we use that
aren't mainstream,
especially in Hollywood and in Bollywood. I know.
Bollywood comedy is different. Bollywood comedy is built different.
Bollywood comedy is slapstick. That's slapstick.
Bollywood comedy is ridiculous.
Like when you use a banana to kill someone, that's slapstick.
But then again, I'm like, do they mean to be funny?
Yes, they do.
Serious? I'm like, what is that?
We're going to have a discussion about that, about the international reputation of comedy and how most of the time, and I'm getting passionate about this, on social media, they will take something that's intended as comedy, cut it out of context and say, oh, this is how their film industry is. Like that one, has anyone seen the falling baby, the Bollywood falling baby, where the baby's falling for 10 years, like that baby, by the time that baby reaches the floor, it should be like 20 years old. But it's meant to be funny. And so when they post posts of us doing some things like the action movies now, or the action things that those things are meant to be funny. Like, we're not underdeveloped in our cinematic sense. We are. We are.
Because she sent me this video of this film that I've been looking for ages, right? And it falls more on I think we touched on it in the jazz Sympathy. Episode, the movie with Sympathy. It's got Incurious Sylvanus and Liz Benson in it. And it has these Obanje girls that turned into these like weird puppet thingies, and one of them backflips into jewelry that she's meant to be possessing. What girl?
Well, that's unintentional comedy. That's not meant to be funny. That was the okay. I want to say that was the tech that we had.
I think that's just the technology that we have. But I think that this is the kind of comedy that I mean, at the time as a child, I wouldn't have noticed the backflip. I'd have just thought, oh my god, I'm never wearing jewelry ever again. But that's the kind of comedy that I relate to. That's the kind of comedy that I enjoy. Things that aren't necessarily supposed to be funny. They're not in your face. Oh, look at him. He's funny. Okay. No. It's not funny.
Let's move on. Continue with your genre. But let's go back to farcical. And, farces have things like irony and, complicated setup. And would you say that Nollywood is not as developed for example, Nollywood can't handle irony as a means of comedy?
Give me an example in Hollywood that is irony as an example of comedy.
I don't know. I only know Shakespeare. Yeah, in Shakespeare comedies, where what is so funny is that it's a girl dressed as a boy, and like someone says something and she says something, and it's funny because no one else knows that she's a boy, but we, the audience, know that she's really a girl.
I think we do that all the time in Nollywood. I think that's where the like village girl pretends to be a city girl comes in. A lot of the time, I think maybe it's just me that finds it funny, is when this person is clearly lying, and we know that they're lying, but they're still managing to fool everyone around them in the scene.
Okay, good point.
I think that's
where... so I will take back what I said. I think comedy-wise, actually, we're actually quite sophisticated. I think there are some people...
Do we mean to be?
Yes. For example, let's talk about Mr. Ibu. Why do people find Mr. Ibu funny?
I couldn't tell you.
Because of the way he talks, because of his ideas about things.
It's because he's stupid.
Yes, but he's stupid in a way that he's not just stupid. It's stupid in a way that is funny. And I think that's that requires, at least from the part of Mr. Ibu, like, it's funny because we know he's stupid, but it's stupid in a way that is unexpected.
I don't think it's unexpected at all.
Really?
It frames it as, this is a stupid man doing stupid shit.
Okay.
To Mr. Ibu, not to Jennifer.
Oh, okay, so she obviously doesn't like him.
But I think, no, because those films are the films that I can't get my head around why... So see something like Ukwa.
Yeah.
No, is it Ukwa?
Yeah,
or
Ukwa.
Sophia? There's Ukwa and then there's Sophia.
Yes.
Which is the same person.
But Ukwa was the first one.
So Ukwa is part of comedy. Sophia is also part of comedy. But
there are different types of comedy.
But there are different types of comedy. So something like Sophia.
Okay, let's talk about Nkem Owo and his style of comedy. What is his style of comedy?
Sometimes it's quite mean.
It really is. Like, that one is mean. And like insults. And yeah, like it's absolutely hilarious. And his conception of things, like Sophia goes to London. Hilarious.
And that's the thing. So I feel like as Nigerians, we there is a cultural aspect to our comedy.
Well, I think most comedy is cultural.
True.
Because there are some in-jokes that only a culture will get.
That's true. So that yeah.
Secondhand embarrassment is also a type of comedy.
And I hate it.
Awkward comedy.
Ugh. It cringes. I hate being cringed out.
Hey, Will Ferrell?
No.
But
that is... To me, Will Ferrell's thing of comedy is Mr. Ibu, and I can't marry two. Or like Jennifer. To me, Jennifer falls under Mr. Ibu or comes under awkward comedy or Will Ferrell comedy, because it's just...
It's just Kenji. She's pretending to be a worm, and that's one that you pour
salt on top. That
I don't
exactly
like cringe comedy.
That kind of comedy is the comedy that I will immediately turn off. I won't watch it. I don't find it funny. But when they're not trying to do that,
to be funny, when they're not trying to be deliberately funny, I think that's where Sam Loco really shines, because he will say like the funniest things in the straightest of face, and you're like, it's so funny. And then he just carries on with his day. And it came over also. He destroyed someone's life entirely, and then he just moves on.
Especially in Sophia, there's a Sophia, and then there's the one that he's got a calculator. Is that a Sophia?
No, that's Mr. Calculator. Oh my god, that is so funny.
Like, these films, they are all by the same person. They all have the same sort of vibe.
Do they? I would argue that they're actually quite different, because, for example, in Osofia, it comes from the fact that he's Osofia 1, it comes from the fact that he's just this guy that's set in his ways, and he's so mean. And Osofia in London, he's set in his ways, but he doesn't adapt. You know, he's running around Trafalgar Square at the pigeon, carrying his guy and must go. And then in Mr. Calculator, it comes from the fact that he's a miser, and like, he's miserly and mean. So, see,
now think about the fact that we haven't watched these films in years.
Well, you can still remember certain scenes, which is like comedy. We love to laugh. Who doesn't love to laugh? A psychopath, a cultist.
Do you know he won the African Movie Academy Award in 2008?
Yes, he deserves it.
For a Nigerian movie called Stronger Than Pain.
Now, I am going to segue into a rant. Our veteran actors do not get enough claps. They do not. You see these new Nollywood actors. I am sorry, but I am going to say it. They get things like endorsements, they get, social media clouds that they're able to hawk into money. But what about our veterans? Up and down, veterans are dying because there's nobody looking after them. Because even though they made our childhoods, even though they sacrificed so much to their craft, they are still left with nothing. I am so upset about that. Do more, Nollywood industry. Do more. Anyway, rant over.
I feel the same way, I guess.
Good.
I think I must.
Now move on. Move on with your genre.
The next one is rom-com.
We've discussed that.
I think we'll just move from that one because there's nothing.
But I will say that in comedy, there's also romance.
And in romance,
so come
there's
rom.
comedy. No, it's still rom-com, Marianne.
No, it's when the story is not about romance. It's a comedy film, but there's still a little bit of romance,
Which falls back to every single Nollywood film has romance in it.
All right, moving on.
There's black comedy, which I think all of him was films come under.
It's black comedy. What?
But no, I jest. Black comedy is things that are not supposed to be funny are being told as funny.
Nigerians
which
do not like that.
We don't do that.
We don't
really do that in Nigeria.
No.
Not too much.
Would you see that as a sign of sophistication or just a sign of culture?
I think it's a sign of culture because a lot of these things that are so called taboo in the Western world, people can joke about. But I think what makes those taboo things funny to us is because they're taboo. So like the fact that a pastor that sees jazz going on can't leave it alone. To me, that's hilarious. But it's not really funny because good versus evil.
But that's just us. Maybe we just have that.
I think we just. But there wouldn't be a comedy film about that.
No, so as a culture, we reject, making fun. I mean, there are jokes about things like death. Like Sophia will put cotton in his nose and maybe he will rise from the dead or something. Oh my God, have you watched that movie where he's a ghost? And basically, him and Mercy Johnson were together, and I think Mercy Johnson kills him, and then he becomes a ghost, and then he's just there haunting Mercy Johnson, and like Mercy Johnson is trying to live a good life with her new husband, but she's just being haunted totally by Nkemo, and it's so funny. What is the name of that movie? It's so funny.
Is it recent?
No. So guys, we did a little bit of research because we had to get the film for you, but
it's called Forever Love.
Oh,
it's on YouTube, guys.
It's on YouTube. As again, YouTube sponsor me. It's on YouTube and it's absolutely hilarious. Check it out. So that's a black comedy. That's a joke about death.
I mean, you get that though. There is that one with Clem Ohameze where he's just walking the streets as as he's supposed to be dead because obviously he's got what is that thing with the nose?
It's embalming. Oh. It's embalming, and I think it's to stop worms from getting up here. I don't know.
I also find that very disturbing. I'll say that now. I think from just childhoodness, from childhood, that's a process that's always made me very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
a sight that's always made me very, very uncomfortable. Yeah. But no, there is that one where he's in like the long white robe. And he's got the two nose thingies and he's just walking in the street and everyone's like, it's a ghost. I'm about to die. And everyone is running away. So I guess, we
do have
black comedy.
But I think it's more about death. Like, let's say, like sexual taboos.
We are
not ready for that. We are not ready.
No,
and
we don't joke about
to be honest, I don't think we should ever joke about that. But that's just me personally.
No, but freedom of speech, Marianne.
I don't care.
And then these two, I don't think really fall under Nollywood as much. So, comedic thrillers. I don't know
what is a comedic thriller
would come under that. Let me see. I don't know what film would come under that.
What's like? So I guess
an example.
Oh. No, I can't think of one. I mean, I think New Nollywood has comedic thrillers. New Nollywood again has a lot of like some sophisticated jokes, some sophisticated comedy movies. Think about a nice movie called Bomb Express. That's a thriller, that's a mystery, but it's also quite comedic. You have Three Thieves, which is really like well done. So I think,
I mean, even that other one, is it the figurine?
is the
one
figurine funny?
No, I'm thinking of where they're meant to steal a statue.
The gold statue.
That one.
That
film is hilarious.
That film is really, really funny.
It's on Netflix, I believe. It's so funny.
It's hilarious. It's really good. Well, that was part 1 of the episode. Join us again in part 2. Say goodbye and tell them to join us in part 2.
Join us in part 2.